Hey, did you know the market took the biggest plunge in the last 6 years according to the news? Well, let's dive in. Most of the people in the news will tell you about something that they saw, and they want to come up with this yellowish type of news telling that the world is going to end. And I'm here to tell you that perhaps that may not be true. So let's dig into the data to see exactly what is going on. If we go into Miami Dade County, did you know that for the month of August, we actually had a bigger sales than last year? In other words, if you sold your house in the month of August in Miami-Dade County, guess what? You sold it at a 10% gain from last year. How do we know? Well, it's the median sales price. The median sales price will tell you what are houses actually selling for. And I have not seen at this very moment a house that has sold for less than what they actually bought it. So did you really lose money? I do not know. Now let's go to the condo market. In the condo market, the same thing happened. 12% is the increase from the year before. So are the prices actually coming down? I don't know. And that is exactly what we want to dissect here. As you can see, and the report that we're showing, it is a 12% increase from last year. Now, are the properties that are lower value sold? That is exactly what's going on. So what's actually really happening? Are the properties with lower price tag the ones that are selling? That is exactly what is going on. That's what we see. So in other words, people that want to put $2 million on a property, they may hold off a little bit because it might be a little bit too risky, and the cost of that money, which is most of the time borrowed, it will be a little bit more costly to them. Therefore, they don't want to commit to that. Okay, so let's keep on going and see what's going on. They always tell you in the news that something is happening. They always tell you in the news, you need to look at what is really going on. In addition to that, they even said that in Miami-Dade County, we are having price slashes. In other words, that we're slashing the price. So I want to tell you one thing. If you have a $2 million home and you want to sell it for $3 million, and you put a price tag, you list it, you get your realtor and you list it, and the property will be listed for sale for $2.5 million. That is what you know, in fact, in your heart, that this property is not worth $2.5 million. But you want to test the market. You want to see what's going on. If you get that very same property after 60 days on the market, that you're completely tired of not knowing what's happening, no showings, no offers, and that property, you slash it down to 2.25. In other words, you reduced it $250,000. What actually happened? Did you reduce the prices? Are the prices actually coming down? No. What is going on is that most of these sellers are getting a little bit tired and desperate because they've been on the market 30 or 60 days and they still have no offer in the property. And that is exactly what is going on. However, when you go and see the closed sales are actually selling for higher than what they did sell last year. And that is what is going on. Could anybody at any point maybe thinking that they're going to sell at a lower price? Yes, there's some people that do not have cash, that they cannot hold off in the property, perhaps a probate, a foreclosure property because of a different thing, might be a divorce, death in the family, or some unfortunate event. And that is right. These people may sell for a lower price. However, when you get the whole aggregate of the sales, that is not what we're actually looking for. In other words, what is happening? The 90%, the bottom 90% of Americans actually increased their wealth $2.89 trillion in 2021. What does that mean? That if you were a homeowner, you're actually healthier, you're actually wealthier, you got more money. And if you have property that, you know, that is not, or you're not a homeowner, you're a renter, you are in a tougher situation. And that is what we're actually looking at. So when I see these big headlines, and they're telling us that we're going to be in a very bad position, the prices are coming down, you have to look at the hyper local market. In the Miami-Dade, we have a very, very healthy market. Why do we know that? Because sellers are reducing their overpriced listings, and that does not affect the value of our properties. That sellers are selling for more than what they pay for, and because sellers in distress are very few, and that is the reality. So we have several things. We have the lagging indicators, and that's what we see in the news. That's what we hear in the news. We got the home values. The home values are actually coming down, and they mix the listing prices with the actual closed sales, which is not a reality. Then the number of closed units. Yes, are we selling less units? It is true. We're selling less units. We came back to seasonality. We are selling less than what we used to sell after COVID, because specifically that actually happened. COVID is over. The pandemic is no longer a big effect on home prices and sales, and that actually came the market back to natural, to balance, to a reduce, a normal market. Seasonality is actually coming back up. Now, are we getting new listings on the market? Yes, and we're getting new listings in Miami-Dade, anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 new listings. That is normal between houses and condos. That is something completely normal. So we are back to normal. But why don't you keep an eye on inventory? Why don't you keep an eye on inventory? That is the biggest thing. If I have a lot of something, is it worth less? That is true. If I have little of something, is it worth more? Then it is, because nobody has it and everybody wants it. So I put as an example, let's say that you want a house in Coral Gables. Are there many houses in Coral Gables for sale? No, they're not. So most likely you'll be compelled to pay a little bit more if you want to live in Coral Gables. And that is exactly what is going on right now. So keeping an eye on the inventory is crucial. And what we get to see is that the inventory is going up. Is it crazy what's going on in the market? Well, it is not. It's going back to normality, to the normal range. Historically, in Miami-Dade, we usually have about anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 houses up for sale. At this very moment, we got about 4,000. We are increasing that number, and that number will get to where it needs to be, anywhere between 5,000 to 6,000, and that is a healthy number. Now, it's not the same thing what is going in condos. Condos are very, very easier to buy. It is the first property that most of the people buy, especially the low-end, low-price condos, and that's why they have so many benefits to buy. And we're talking about that the inventory in Miami-Dade is about double of that, maybe about 6,000. So altogether, we may have between condos and houses anywhere between 9,000 properties for sale, and that is called a balanced market. The same number of buyers are actually buying properties, so we are at a very, very good pace, and that is what's going on in the market. Now, if you want to see the new pending sales, which is properties on the contract in Miami-Dade came down. Oh, that comes as a surprise? No, because seasonality, again, it is playing a big role. Why? Because when we get to the end of the year, we know that in Miami-Dade, sales actually, the number of sales actually come down. The pending inventory, is it coming down? Yes, it is coming down, and simply because of the same reason. We're talking about seasonality. However, look at these numbers. We're talking about 3.3 months or 3.4 months of inventory is what we have. That means that if we sell at the same pace that we're selling right now, the properties, that will give us only 3.5 months of inventory. Historically, that's very low. Historically, that is a seller's market. And yes, we're still in a seller's market. So talking about the seller's market in Miami-Dade, is it something weird? Well, no, it's not, because we have other indicators that we need to check in order to find out what's going on. And stay to the end of the video and I'll tell you exactly what those indicators look like, and you will come as a whiz because they'll say, gosh, this guy has a crystal ball. Well, no, it's just finding the leading indicators, and that will tell you exactly what you can foresee in the short term, 3, 4, 5 months. And then, of course, that is not if we receive a nuclear bomb or something like that, you know, God forbids. But that's what's going on, okay? I just want to tell you right out, that is straight what is going on. Now, look at the crisis. What has happened in the crisis? Because a lot of people ask me, hey, Joel, what do you think is going to happen when we have all this inflation? Well, let's look at what happened in the past. In 1970, we had rising interest rates. Do we have rising interest rates right now? Let me hear it. Yes, we do. And the next big crisis that we have is a high unemployment. We haven't gotten there, but I believe with all that the government is doing, we probably are going to see the unemployment raise a little bit. And it's going to rise, I would say, a bit, and that is going to be another ingredient to this big mix of the things that are happening and affect real estate. Now, do we have high oil prices? Yes, that was exactly the recession of 1990. And that made the prices go up also. And of course, we have the dot-com crisis, a stock market crisis, and that actually made prices go up. So as you can see in the chart, all these recessions had actually made the real estate values to go up. The only exception was the actual self-inflicted wound of the banks, that they just went ahead and gave money to whoever walked to their banks, and that was the mortgage crisis. That created a mortgage crisis. That was in 2006, and guess what happens? Yes, the values lowered, the values decreased very much, up to about 20%. 7 years, everything was back to normal. And that's where we are right now. We know what happened in COVID. Prices went up, and as you can see in the chart, that is the story of the whole United States. What has happened in Miami-Dade, we will get to see that. So in this chart right now, you can see very simply that the home prices during the last 6 recessions, only in 2 recessions, in 1991, and again, we said it because of oil prices, everything was kind of like stalled. Prices came down 1.9%. That's a very little bitty amount that your price comes down. So just to put it into perspective, if you own a $500,000 house, that it actually comes 2%. That is $10,000. So you don't have a $500,000 house, you have a $490,000. It's almost imperceptible. So what do I say? Don't worry, keep on going, be a homeowner. That's the best way. And yes, in every single recession, prices have gone up. Why? Because money is worth less. Therefore, goods are the ones that are worth more. So if you buy a house, you actually need to buy some goods to make the house, lumber, dirt, you got to buy iron, you got to buy concrete, and all of that has actually gone up. So why do I say that inflation is something that perhaps the government wanted to do? Simply because if I owe a lot of money and now the money is worth less, guess what? I have a lesser impact. And that is what is going on at this very moment. I believe that yes, as in every recession, that doesn't mean that we'll have a real estate crisis. Therefore, we will not have any values coming down, especially if you look at the leading indicators that we're going to dive in pretty soon. In sales price in Miami-Dade, prices have continuously going up. You can clearly see a trend line going up, and that is what's happening. Now, why in the last 2 years prices have gone up so much? Because of inflation, because everything costs more. And again, you have lumber, you have dirt, you have everything costs more. Therefore, prices are actually coming up. And then in addition to that, just go ahead and add interest rates, okay? So that's the main thing. Closed sales, we usually have anywhere between 3,000 closed sales in Miami-Dade. That's exactly what's going on. It will keep on happening. And I do not think that anytime soon coming down because of the under contract numbers that we saw a little while ago. Now, what's going on with the listing? Look at that, how interesting. Despite of what everybody's actually saying out there, the listings keep coming to the MLS. They keep coming to the market. They keep coming available for sale. How interesting is that? So that means that people have to move, that people have to sell their houses for whatever reason that may be. All right, you know that most of the people will sell a house for 3 bad things. That's death in the family, divorce, or they cannot afford the property. And the other 50% is simply because they want to upgrade or downsize. And those are the reasons. But you get to see at all time properties coming on the market, and that's what we see in Miami-Dade. So now let's talk about the leading indicators, all right? So now let's dig into the future. Let's go into the leading indicators. What can we see in Miami-Dade, and how can we see that we actually going into better times? Well, the first thing is new constructions. Another thing is inbound migration. How many people come to the county? And then unemployment rates, and keep an eye on the rental market. Those are the 4 main categories that we need to look that will give an effect sometime later, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 months later. And this is how you actually get to forecast what's happening in the market, okay? Housing permits, it is the velocity in which builders can build houses and put them available for sale. Do you see here that there's a trend going up? Of course, we have in 2015 and 2016, a lot of properties came on the market. There was a lot of booming, and this actually indicates that we had more and more permits available and coming out. Builders are actually going to the county to pull permits, and that's how we track. And that's how we know that houses are being built. And this number tells us that in 2022, we have more than 2,500 new houses coming to the market. And that is single family. We're not even talking about condos. Condos is a whole different thing. Population, well, do you know that population is increasing here in Miami-Dade? Well, yes, it is. And why do we know? Simply because we have so many companies coming here. The companies bring employees. The employees have the needs for real estate. And that is why it's going up. That is a side of open borders. That's a side of having a lot of people coming from South America and coming from everywhere, okay? And that's what's going on. But as you see, the population, we're very shy of 3 million people in Miami-Dade, and that is exactly what's happening. That puts a pressure on the demand, okay? The new constructions and the builders, they put an ease on the supply, and this is how we actually get everything balanced. Now, unemployment rate, we have a lower unemployment rate than the rest of the country. And why do you think that is? Well, simply because a lot of people want to move to South Florida. They want to move to South Florida because they have jobs, they have a place to live, and many other things that we'll see. That is a kicker. That the mayor of Miami loved this slide if he were here. But now, keep an eye on the rental market. This is actually telling you that 31 renters per each property available for rent. I mean, is that awesome? That actually tells you 31 applications per property for rent. That is insane. That is a very, very big number. That means that you have many tenants to choose from. In addition to that, you have the number of days that the rental was available, only 27. You had so many people looking, you can choose for the best one. You have enough time, that's something good. Now, but look at that number. 75% of the tenants actually called or had some type of renewal agreement with the current landlord. That means they don't want to lose their roof. They want to make sure that they stay there. They will pay. They will gladly get the increase for the very first time ever. And for the very first time ever, I'm receiving calls from tenants actually telling me, hey, let's renew this lease. I want to renew my lease. I want to make sure that at least I secure a decent payment for the next 12 months. And that has never happened. And I'm telling you, this is something that you actually have to check at all times. And this is like knowing what's going on with the rental market. If you see a very easy way to rent your property and you have many choices, people paying 6 months in advance, a whole year in advance for a rental, that tells you the rental market is very strong. And 97.6% of the properties available for rent are rented. That is insane. That means that there's almost no inventory. We go back to the inventory, and that's what's happening. But this is a slide that our mayor loves. Why? Because we have low crime rate, we have low city taxes, we have low unemployment. We are very healthy in Miami and Miami Dade County, and we're very happy. So why don't you want to come down here? And this is the biggest 5 reasons why a lot of people are coming here, simply because we don't get robbed. We pay little taxes, we have work, we're healthy, and we're happy. So what a way to end up this presentation. I'm going to tell you the best way, the golden rule, as I always say. If you can buy for less than you can rent, then you ought to buy. So then buy it. And if you can rent for less than you can buy, then you have to rent. That only happened a little bit after the crash of 2008, that I saw that a lot of people were renting for much less than what the owner was actually making payments for to the bank. And that is insane. I'm going to close with my favorite quote. Just keep in mind, do not wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Get healthy, get wealthy with real estate. Joel Valencia, I'm here to help you.